Well, hello and welcome to the AMR Technology Campus here in Silverstone, home of the Aston Martin Aramco Formula One team. I'm your host, Laura Winter. Welcome to our special guests here in the room and to everyone joining our live stream around the world. Shortly, we will introduce the next chapter in the team's history and some hugely significant news for the sport of Formula One. Now, to bring this into focus, let me welcome to the stage the Executive Chairman of the Aston Martin Aramco Formula One team, Lawrence Stroll. Well, good morning, Lawrence. How are you?
I'm extremely well, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you. It's a huge day, isn't it? After months of speculation, I know you have some very exciting news to share with us this morning.
Certainly the most exciting news in our Aston Martin's Formula One history, and I think probably the most exciting news in Formula One in general. So, as slightly rumoured, Adrian Newey will be joining us as, first and foremost, a shareholder and our technical managing partner of our Formula One team.
Congratulations. It is incredible news, and if the reception that we just had as we broke the news to the team in the street here is anything to go by, the entire team working here are incredibly excited and cannot wait for the future of Aston Martin. It's a massive statement of intent, isn't it, Lawrence? The ambition of this team, the passion, and the goal to win not just races but world championships as well. Why Adrian? Why is he so central to these plans?
Well, Adrian arguably is the greatest in the world at what he does. There's nobody who's come close to winning as many world championships. He's a gentleman, he's a winner, he's a competitor, and he has the passion and desire to win, as do I and most of the people in this building. You know, we started on a journey 6 years ago with this team on similar premises and a much similar ground, much smaller premises, much smaller building. And that's really when the journey had started. We've brought in some great managers, some great people along the way. We have Mike Crack, our team principal. We have Tom, we have Dan, we have Eric, we have Luca, with Martin joining. So we've put together, Andy Cowell's coming, we've put together a fantastic management team. And building this premises was really showing our real intent. First is hiring the people, but to make this level of investment, to build a premises like this, non-existent before in Formula One, the first of its sort. It's so grand, but it's so special. We could build 100% of the car here. We're going to have the first, greatest, newest wind tunnel built in over 20 years. That's a huge tool to make the car go faster ultimately. So putting all that in place, the people, the premises, and then really looking for our technical leader. And I had been trying to speak to Adrian for a couple of years, and I believe when things are meant to be, they happen. I'll let Adrian speak for himself. I believe he shared my passion, intent, and vision. And there really is no other Formula One team that is poised for the future as we are. So can't be more excited to have Adrian on board.
Shall we hear from the man of the moment? Everyone, please welcome to the stage the incoming managing technical partner of the Aston Martin Aramco Formula One team, Adrian Newey. Adrian, welcome. This is your new home, soon to be. Congratulations. It's such exciting news. What made you decide then on this project? With the options that you had available to you, what has brought you here to Aston Martin Aramco?
Lawrence. That's easy. No, seriously, I think I felt as if I needed a new challenge. And so kind of towards the end of April, I decided I needed to do something different. Spent a lot of time with Mandy, my wife, kind of discussing, okay, what's next? What do we do? Do I kind of go off and sail, or do we go off and sail around the world? Do I do something different, America's Cup or whatever? So we took a bit of time out, and I felt I've been lucky enough to have achieved what I aspired to from the age of 10 or 12, which was simply to be a designer. I don't think you knew the word engineer in motor racing, and I can honestly say everything else has been a bonus, having sort of achieved that straight out of uni. I never, of course, expected anything like what I've been lucky enough to be involved with. But you have to keep yourself, you have to be honest with yourself, you have to keep yourself fresh. And so I felt I needed a new challenge. So I say, took a bit of time off. Lawrence and I have known each other off and on over the years. We often bump into each other in the gym, particularly at the Middle East and Far East races. As I kind of announced to everybody that I would be departing the old team, then I was very flattered to have a lot of approaches from various teams. But really, Lawrence's passion and commitment and enthusiasm is very endearing. It's very persuasive. The reality is, if you go back 20 years, then what we now call team principals are actually the owners of the teams: Frank Williams, Ron Dennis, Eddie Jordan, etc., etc. In this modern era, then Lawrence is actually unique in being the only properly active team owner, and I think that does bring it's a different feeling when you have somebody like Lawrence involved like that. It's back to the old school model, and to have the chance to be a shareholder and a partner is something that has never really hasn't been offered to me before. So it's a slightly different slant. It's one I'm very much looking forward to. It became a very natural choice.
I love the thought that this plan was hatched over treadmills in the gym. Were you both sort of running alongside each other and talking about world domination? How did that work?
No, actually, he was on a bike and I was on a treadmill behind him.
Lawrence, look,
trying to catch up to him.
Well, you've got him now. Look, we're sitting here in this incredible new building, which I'm right in saying has only just been finished, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's last Monday we moved into this particular space, so it's the first and the most important event.
And we've walked through the street and seen the entire staff who are working here as well. Your vision is truly taking shape, isn't it? How does Adrian then fit into the existing team that you have here?
As I mentioned, we have a strong team, some of which Adrian has already worked with. Adrian is going to be the technical managing partner of that team. So on a day-to-day basis, he'll be here, full commitment, full-time committed to Formula One, giving leadership and direction to his team. And
Adrian, seeing all that's on offer here, and I know you have a tour booked for this afternoon to see all the finished parts of it as well, you must feel like a bit of a kid in a candy store with all of the technology that you have to play with. How excited are you for that?
No, I mean, I think what Lawrence and Martin have built here, these facilities are just stunning. It's not an easy thing to do, to build a brand new factory in a greenfield site and have it have a really nice, warm, creative feel to it, because after all, that's what we're here for, to try to be creative and to come up with good solutions and particularly with good communication between everybody that works here. And I've seen some new buildings that haven't quite fulfilled that. But this one it has a great feel. The proportions are right. It has all the facilities. So, yes, you're absolutely right. I'm so looking forward to starting, to getting to know everybody here, to work with them and go from there.
Lawrence, Adrian's was the most sought-after signature in Formula One for this season. Of course, you mentioned your moments in the gym together, and I guess those kind of hushed conversations you were able to have. When did the talks really start in earnest? Tell us about that, because the rumours have swirled all season.
Well, as I mentioned, we really did begin to speak briefly about 3 years back. The most recent talks in earnest began after I read Adrian's news of his departure. So I said, once I read that, I said, well, again, I believe this is meant to be. I believe Adrian will share my vision. He's a super smart guy. And so it was really when I read the April departure announcement.
And Adrian, there is a big rule change coming up in 2026. We have those new regulations. How do you look ahead to them now as you'll be in green?
Well, yes, the PU, of course, has been announced for some time. So Honda will, of course, be working very hard on that. Be very pleased to stay working with Honda. I've really enjoyed working with them over the last 6 years at Red Bull. Great bunch of engineers, very easy to work with. On the chassis side, then the aerodynamic regulations will be announced 1st or 2nd of January. So I will be joining kind of 2 months into that. And so it'll be a case of getting myself up to speed as quickly as possible. And just as importantly, getting to know everybody here, learning how to work with everybody and how we all get the best out of each other. That's what it's really about. The 26 rules, yes, of course, they are an opportunity because there'll be a reset for everybody. Whether we'll be able to capitalise on that or not, we just don't know. I think I never spend too long fretting about these things. Attitude is always get on and do the best job you can, and what will be at that point.
You've done a pretty good job so far. What do you feel the biggest challenges of those 26 regs? What will your main focus be on in that sense?
Well, it'll be all any Formula One team's the same. You have 3 principal departments, which is aerodynamics, mechanical design, and vehicle performance. Vehicle dynamics comes under various names. So it will be making sure that we try to have synergy between those departments and with Honda on the PU side, because there'll be a huge, probably more than ever, a big interaction between the PU and the chassis. It's about trying to come up with a holistic product.
There is still a long way to go, though, before 2026, Adrian. So surely you can also influence and impact on Aston Martin Aramco's fortunes through 2025 as well. How will that look? Well,
the honest truth is I don't know until I start. There's no point in forecasting these things. Yes, of course, we would love to have a good 2025, naturally. But for me, it's just about it's working with everybody and us trying to all get the best out of each other. That's the key. And then everything else starts to fall out from there.
Lawrence, when you look at all you have around you, is Adrian the final piece, the biggest piece in the puzzle for you?
There's been many pieces as a puzzle from, as I say, when we started 6 years ago to hiring the great management team we have today to bringing in 2 of the greatest partners in the industry. You know, we've brought Aramco to be our partner, and they really are a partner. There's no better partnership in the world than we have with Aramco. And to be able to bring Honda exclusively to work for us for the next 5 years after the new regulation starts. So our partners are also tremendously important. Adrian is key, and the biggest part of the puzzle, certainly from a technical point of view, from a technical leadership point of view. Know that he will be leading the team, and I think that will have a trickle-down effect throughout the whole organization.
Well, you won the race to secure his signature for Aston Martin. What are the next steps for you, for the team? Where is your energy now focused?
Our energy is focused on a couple of places. So As I say, we just really finished moving into this building last week. Building 3, which houses our wind tunnel, will be operational at the end of this year, or certainly very early part of next year. This is something we're missing in order to perform at the top. We had a slight distraction moving into this building. We had a very strong start to 2023. As you know, the first 9 races were great. Then these cars are, ground effect cars are rather complex, and obviously we went in a different, or clearly appears now, a wrong direction. We're trying to find our way back. We're currently 5th in the championship. In all honesty, for a team like us, with just moving into this building, with not having all our tools in place, without having a true big technical leader as Adrian, I would like to be in a better space, don't get me wrong, but our focus really lies on doing a better car for 25. But really, most importantly, we'll be focusing most of our energy next year on 26. Reset, new rules, new power unit, buildings up and running, wind tunnels running. So that's really going to be our focus.
Thank you. Adrian, it's clear all the building blocks are very much in place to win in Formula One, but you're also, of course, representing the iconic Aston Martin brand as well. How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it is, you're absolutely right. I think arguably next to Ferrari, then Aston Martin is the most iconic brand across the world. It's got such a presence and a feel to it. So, of course, that's special. It also ties actually in quite well because obviously I was involved with the Valkyrie project, and I have a couple of classic Astons as well. So well familiar with the brand and the magic that goes with that.
Yeah, it truly is. It feels magical today. I'm sure as well it's attracting a lot of attention worldwide. I know many of you watching at home on various live streams and indeed on TikTok as well. So do excuse me while I get out my phone, but we have some questions that have been sent in from TikTok and they're just loading up for me now. Piper, this is, I think for Adrian, has asked, what is the biggest strength you'll bring to the team?
Good question. I honestly can't answer that because I don't ever really think about it. I just like to get in and work with everybody, and I try to work in various ways. One is relatively solitary, which is standing at my drawing board and trying to create and come up with ideas and so forth. The second is, and the bigger proportion actually, is working with my fellow engineers at all levels and in all 3 of the departments. And then the third is really going to the races, trying to understand what the drivers are feeling, turning their descriptions of how the car is behaving into an engineering language and then trying to search for the solution.
And Chloe has also asked, what's your relationship like with your team's drivers, with Fernando and Lance?
Well, Lance I've known slightly for many years, back from his F3 days, where my lad Harry was also racing F3 the same time that Lance was. So admired him. You know, he dominated the second half of that year in F3. Fernando, of course, I mean, we've battled against each other for so many years. It's been a bit of a kind of arch enemy at times, and we came so close to him joining Red Bull in 2008 for the 2009 season, but unfortunately it didn't quite happen, which is a great shame. So we continue to battle against each other. So you know, he's a legend of the sport. So very much looking forward to working with him.
Fantastic stuff. Well, as you can see, we do have Lance and Fernando with us today. So please welcome them to stage. Lance to here, Fernando there. Perfect. Well, Lance, what a huge day this is. A momentous occasion for Aston Martin. Talk to me about the impact, the momentum, the winning momentum this will have for 2025.
Yeah, it's a huge day. I mean, there was already a lot said, but I think it's really the most exciting day in this team's history. Adrian's won more championships than anyone in the paddock, and now he's wearing green. So it's an extremely exciting day, and 26 is not far away. A completely new set of regulations, a lot of opportunity, and we're really constructing an incredible team with so many talented people that are already here. And now Adrian's coming on board, so really exciting.
Thank you, Lance. And Fernando as well. Look, when we spoke to you in Miami, and this was all just a rumor, you were incredibly excited to be working with, yes, the legend that is Adrian Newey, now also your arch enemy, apparently, at times. How do you feel now, standing next to him, knowing you'll be working alongside him, and equally looking ahead to 2026 as well, the impact he can have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, as you said, been racing against each other for many years. I would say that it was more an inspiration, and I think thanks to Adrian and his talent and cars, I think we all got better as a driver, as engineers, teams. We all had to raise the bar thanks to him to be able to compete. And I think now it's an incredible day for the team. Lawrence's vision is taking shape with this building. With Adrian, with Honda, Aramco, new wind tunnel, so definitely the team of the future, I would say. And yeah, for me, it's going to be an incredible opportunity professionally to work with Adrian and to keep wearing this green color, which I'm very proud to be part of. But also it's on a personal side, an incredible opportunity to work with these people that you can learn so much from them, and I think I was talking with Lance a few weeks ago, the incredible opportunity we have to witness and to work with Lawrence and with everyone in Aston Martin, which definitely we are learning a lot of things on track, off track as well, and it's a part of our growth personally as well.
Thank you very much. Lance, Fernando, I know you have a very busy week, and of course you'll be heading to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix as well, so we'll see you there. Best of luck. Thank you so much for joining us on stage. Okay, that is enough questions from me. It is now time to throw open to the floor for questions from the media who are here with us for Lawrence and Adrian. So please do raise your hand when you're asking a question, and do share your name and publication as well. We'll go to Lawrence Barretto at the back there. We have a microphone coming to you.
Thanks. Hey, Adrian, it sounds like you're going to be working full-time, you're going to be in the job every day, you're going to be in the office every day. Was that quite an important part for you? And critically, have you chosen your office yet? Do you know where you could have your drawing board?
No, on the last question, no, I haven't. Obviously, I want to be in the centre of everything. But yes, moving teams is always a big commitment to try to understand how everybody works, to engage with them, to kind of be involved in shaping things if necessary. It takes time, it takes commitment. So yes, of course, to start with, once I start, then I'll be fully in. I have to be. The good news, though, is that I've really been in motor racing, kind of working at the track. So since actually 1982 with Formula 2, and then in the Indy cars in America, and then Formula 1 since 1988, pretty much non-stop without break. So so far the summer's been a little bit busier than Mandy and I had anticipated, but from Thursday we're going to go off and take a bit of holiday time and take a bit of a break. I've obviously got my RB17 commitments also to balance there, but really get a bit of a break and enjoy ourselves so that when the 2nd of March comes, I'm fully rested and raring to go.
Thank you, Lawrence. Andrew Benson alongside.
Andrew Benson, BBC Sport. Adrian, to follow up on that, as I understand it, it was your decision to sort of row things back a bit at Red Bull and go 3 days a week or whatever it was. What made you so sure that you wanted to go full-time again and take on this level of commitment?
Well, I don't know where 3 days a week ever came from, but anyway. I think that at Red Bull, I don't want to, we're not here about Red Bull, but it's well known that in 214 with the hybrid engine, and then we were in a position where we didn't have a very competitive PU, and with no light at the end of the tunnel. So that's when I felt I needed something else to kind of also be involved in, which of course became Valkyrie. Once we got the Honda PU, then we were in a very different position, and so then I got properly back involved on the Formula One side with the 16, I think it's 14, 15, 16, 16B, and then the 18 and so forth. But certainly it's now a very mature team, so I felt able to, once we got through the peak of designing the research and design of the 22 car, the big regulation change car, to step back a little bit, because the 23 and this year's car are very much evolutions of that first 22 car. But this is something different. It's that fresh challenge, that kind of new stimulation, and so I always do what I feel is needed for the best of the team.
Thank you. Luke.
Thank you. Luke Smith from The Athletic. Adrian, in the announcement release, it said that your visit in June was quite influential in the decision. Can you talk about that visit, what you saw at the factory, and Lawrence, how important was it to get Adrian on site and probably show him what you were building here?
I'll go first. I think it was huge, as Adrian was about to comment. It's hard to understand, comprehending or trying to explain these 3 spectacular buildings if you don't visit. And it's a very big part of our tool, as you well know, to make us a championship team. We certainly couldn't have been a championship team with our old tool, that we know. So this had to be built again to show our intent, our ambition, and to win. So getting Adrian here, I think, was critically important, but I'll let him speak for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we discussed earlier, then the building's clearly mightily impressive. It has a great feel to it. But the second bit, which we didn't talk about, is I think it's a real demonstration of Lawrence's commitment to and vision for where he wants the team to get to. You know, this is I don't know how much it costs, but it's not going to be cheap. So it really demonstrates that. I mean, not. You know, I'll find other ways of spending money now for him within the cost cap.
I think we all know nothing good is cheap.
But yeah, I think that was perhaps the combination of seeing all the facilities, how nice a feel and how well thought out the building is, and perhaps most of all, that very visual demonstration of Lawrence actually. You know, if I had to, if I had to describe Lawrence in one sentence, I think one of the things that I always kind of think of is he has total belief, he has a direction, and he's happy to put all his chips on black, and that's what he's doing here.
In this case, green.
Yes, just here.
Hi, I'm Mark Hughes, Motorsport Magazine. Question for Lawrence. You've got lots of technical heavyweight people here already. How is it going to be structured with Adrian's arrival, and will that structure evolve with it?
As I mentioned earlier, Adrian is joining as technical managing partner. He will be the leader of the technical team. He'll be a leader also in the company, in the overall business as a partner and shareholder. So I leave that structure up to Adrian, who's much better suited than myself.
Craig Slater.
A question for Adrian. I think when you first announced your departure from Red Bull, we thought Ferrari might be favourites for your signature. Lewis Hamilton talked of it being a privilege to have worked with you. How seriously did you entertain the prospect of going there this time, because they've courted you for years? And ultimately, did you think you could achieve more by coming here, maybe because this is a less decorated team? And maybe a question for Lawrence. One or two rival teams said they did not want to get in a bidding war for Adrian Newey. We understand you've paid a lot of money to bring him here, made him one of the highest paid people in British sport. Will he be a bargain?
I can tell you Adrian is a bargain. So certainly I've been in business for, oh my Lord, show my age, 34, over 40 years now. And I've never been more certain it's the best. It's not an investment. He's a shareholder and a partner. So it's the best partner I can bring into a company. We intend to be around here a very long time together. So it's relatively inexpensive for everything Adrian brings in a partnership we will have.
And yeah, I think from my part then, yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, then I was very flattered by the number of teams that did approach me, and had discussions with some of those teams, not all of them. But in the end, it became a very clear and natural choice for all the reasons I stated earlier in the conference today.
Thank you. Will Buxton at the back.
Will Buxton, F1 TV. Adrian, a two-part question. First of all, you have been at the forefront of this game and finding your challenges for 4 decades. Did you seriously consider just putting your feet up or sailing around the world, as I've already said, and not picking up a challenge within the sport? The challenge just being, where do I want to sail to today? And secondly, will there be scope within your role here for extracurricular activities? This is a famous and well-renowned auto manufacturer, not just a racing team. We've seen the passion you've put into the RB17, the Valkyrie as well. Will there be scope to focus on other things, not just the race team?
Okay, so to answer the first part, so when I decided to stop at Red Bull, which was kind of really over the Suzuka weekend back in April, then genuinely had no idea what would be next. Just wanted to have a blank mind, kind of take stock, enjoy a bit of a break, and was hoping that kind of standing in the shower somewhere, the sort of the spark would come of, yeah, this should be the direction. And Mandy was a big part of that as well, of our discussions and what should we do. I think she was worried that I would probably drive her a bit mad if I was home too much. So yeah, I think kind of come late June, let's say, certainly, then I felt, actually, you know what, it's what I've ever, to be involved as a designer in motor racing has been my ambition since the age of 10 or so. I've been lucky enough to achieve that. I think it would be an exaggeration to say I've enjoyed every single day of my career, but the well over 90% has been hugely enjoyable. I still love the challenge of trying to add performance to the car. That's my kind of prime motivation, and that's what gets me up in the morning. And I think, excuse me, then if you're going to work, I think what's amazing about technical sport, if you like. So by technical sport, I mean that combination of man and machine. Then you have that immediate feedback of how you're doing. Can be painful, of course, when you're doing badly, but you have that feedback. And if I compare that back to a lot of my friends who I still keep in contact with from university, from my aeronautics course, then they went to work for British Aerospace and Rolls-Royce engines and so forth, and they had no feedback. So I think I chose well, if you like, in my aspirations. Didn't realise it at the time, of course, to work in this man and machine sport. And if you then say, okay, well, what's the pinnacle of man and machine? Clearly it's Formula One. So, yes, I remain interested in America's Cup. I remain interested in many other things. But if I'm going to do man and machine, might as well keep going at the pinnacle as long as people want me.
Thank you. Yes, the back.
Hello, this is Sarah Holt for the BBC. Lawrence, you've got hundreds of people working here at these amazing facilities that you've created. What will it mean for everyone back at base to have Adrian here and guiding them forward into the future ambitions? And can you tell us what the reaction was like when you introduced him this morning, please?
I could tell you, I don't know if I could have answered that question 15 minutes ago. I could have given you what I thought would happen. But what we actually did witness was, I'm not quite sure how many people, I think about 800 or so, in the street, was an explosion of applause. I've never seen, since I'm here, such a level of excitement of any announcement. We've obviously never made an announcement to this magnitude. We weren't fortunate enough to. So, but I saw everyone leave with a very big smile on their face and a kind of hop and skip in their walk. So hopefully they go back to the desk and figure out how to draw something a little quicker.
Yes, Molly. Steer.
Molly Hudson from The Times. For you, Adrian, what's the last couple of months been like? Your name has kind of been everywhere. There's been a lot of speculation, and I know you don't necessarily enjoy that side of it. And do you feel any pressure now to come in here and really make an impact?
I think, well, okay, the first part of that question, then I'll be honest, I don't really read it, I don't look at it, I don't watch it. Mandy keeps me informed roughly, but I'm relatively impervious to that. I decided that's what I should do many years ago, and in my second year in Formula One, when having sort of done a decent car in the first year, the second year was a bit of a camel, and so having read good press about myself in the first year, I decided, okay, well, I can't kind of get my ego all pumped up from reading good press and then get all depressed when I'm reading bad press. So best solution to that is don't read any press at all, and that's what I've always adhered to since. So apart from people coming up to me and telling me that I'm in the press all the time and I keep blocking up their inbox or whatever, then I don't really know about it. And I've promptly forgotten your second question, sorry.
Do you feel any pressure to come in and make an impact because of everything that's said about you and obviously the way Lawrence speaks of you?
My pressure comes from within. It doesn't come from external. So I guess I remember Frank Williams, I think it must have been in 91, saying to me that he felt I was the most competitive person in the pit lane. And I remember being a little bit upset about that at the time. I didn't really know what he meant. And I'm not sure he's right either. I wouldn't like to say, for instance, that Fernando or Lance or whatever are less competitive either. But I can't deny that I am competitive in my profession. I'm not really so much in sort of hobbies and so forth, but in profession I am. And so, as I say, I just put pressure on myself to do the best job possible. I suppose perhaps because I have been fortunate enough to have had a decent set of results, then I don't kind of feel the need to prove myself anymore to the external world. But as I say, in reality, that's never been my motivation anyway. My motivation is trying to do the best job I can and feel as if, regardless of what the results are, I've done the best job I can.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Molly. I'm afraid that's all we have time for. We really appreciate all of you coming here today for this incredibly special and historic announcement here at Silverstone. I'd like to say a huge thank you to you, Lawrence Stroll, to you, Adrian Newey, as well, and to all of you at home for watching. That is it from us here at Silverstone. Do stay tuned to all the news from Aston Martin Aramco throughout, of course, the rest of the season and the upcoming Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But from us here at Silverstone, goodbye.